Okay people, this is himself, and in this video I'm going to show you setups and OK for Armor King's brawler kick, aka Shining Wizard. So Shining Wizard is a 1+2 throw and it does 40 damage. The command for it is forward, forward, forward 2+4, and you can also do it from running. Now since it's a throw, people can avoid it by ducking, but to stop that we can use running 3 or the exploder. Running 3 is a mid-hitting kick that does 30 damage and it puts you up plus 10 guard frames. From there, I like to go for either Shining Wizard or another running 3. In comparison, Exploder is also a mid, but it does 40 damage. The downside though is that you end up on the floor, so it's hard to follow up with. Now frame rate says that it's plus 17 guard frames, but I think it's identical to King's version, which would mean that on shallow hit, you're actually at plus 28 guard frames, and from there you can do a get up kick mix up. The best setup for Shining Wizard is probably 1-2 counter hit 1. On regular hit, the last punch is only plus 1, but on counter hit, it's plus 31 guard frames, and because of that, the throw becomes uninterruptible. Now if you're having trouble getting that counter hit, then don't forget that the last one can be delayed, and 1-2 on its own is only -1 on block, so you can entice them to interrupt by using something like DF1 or F+4. As well as doing this from running, Shining Wizard can also be done from crouch dash, and the way to do it is to crouch dash, neutral, and then forward 2+4. And the reason this works is that the game interprets the first crouch dash as just a regular forward. Now one of the benefits of doing the crouch dash version is that you get more range, and this is because the crouch dash itself moves further forward. The other benefit is that it helps to disguise the throw. Against sharp players, if they see you dashing in, they're gonna sidestep. But if you do it this way, then it adds a bit of confusion, and that can be enough to land the throw. To stop them ducking, you can still use the options I discussed earlier, but my preferred option here is actually cancelling into FF4. Now this is a mid-hitting kick that does 30 damage, and it's got good range as well. It's also his wall bounce move, so it's useful when you're in the right position. But one of the drawbacks of this is that it's -14 on block. But what you'll notice is that it has some pushback, and that can make it difficult to punish. An alternative is FF2. This is another mid, but it's 1 frame faster and it's got shorter range, so you might want to use it when you're a bit closer. It's also -11 on block rather than -14, but it doesn't have the same pushback, so this might only be useful when you're up against people who have 14 frame punishers and dangerous ones. The other great setup is after his rage drive. Obviously tombstone is the best option, but if the miss hits shallow, then you might not be close enough to dash up and do it. So in that case, Shining Wizard is the next best thing. Before I move on to the next section, I want to mention that my next video will be on either the Air Shining Wizard or Chain Throw OK. I just haven't decided which one it'll be, so why not help me out and let me know in the comments which one you want to see. And while you're at it, make sure you subscribe, that way you'll know when the video comes out and you won't miss anything. But back to this video. Once Shining Wizard lands, they end up face up feet towards, but so do you, and that means that you can't use the same type of logic that you would with other throws. Instead, you have to do some odd stuff, and that's what we're going to look at next. The first option is to just stand up. Now if they stand up or back roll, they're not going to gain anything here, but if they wake up kick or recovery kick, they will whiff, and you can launch them with a dash into hopkick. What you can also do is FF4 if the wall is nearby, but I don't know if that does more damage. Also, if they've done the mid get up kick, then you can launch them with dark upper. Against the lows, you don't get this option because they recover crouching. Now it might seem odd for someone to wake up kick here, but later on in the video you'll see why they might do this. What that leaves is staying on the ground or side rolling, and initially I thought that alley kick would be the best option, but sadly it whiffs against side roll right. So to cover all 3 cases, you have to use DB3. This will do 16 damage, but against standards they can block it, and against back rollers you'll whiff, so you do need to be careful with this one. The next option I want to discuss is forward roll into 1+2, and this is useful against people who back roll, because on block it puts you up +2, and if someone tries to jab afterwards, you can counter hit launch them with back +1. Now in previous games, when a clash happened, the move wouldn't retain its counter hit property, but in Tekken 7 it does, and that makes this pretty good. To avoid the back +1, they can duck and they can sidestep, but to cover that we have DF2. This is 15 frames, so it can be interrupted, but it's a mid and it tracks both ways. On block it's minus 12, so they can punish it, but to make it safe you can use DF21. Frame data says that it's minus 12, but it's guard frames, so they can't block punish it. The only thing they can do is duck the second hit, but if they do that and you only do DF1, then they've missed their chance. Now at this point people might low jab, because it interrupts DF2 and it crushes back +1. So to counter that, we can use sidestep into DF1. This is a mid that comes out in 13 frames and it's only -1 on block. Now once people start to respect the mix up, they might just stand up on block, but that just opens up our throw game. And the best option by far is giant swing. This comes out in 10 frames, it does great damage, and it's so easy to buffer here. And to give you a mix up, you can also do tombstone or DDT. Now if you're having trouble with any of these, then make sure you check out my easy input video. It's the most viewed video on my channel and I'm sure it'll help you out. There's a card in the corner and a link in the description. Now after facing all these options, they might decide not to back roll, and that's where we see some weaknesses here. While the front roll hits spring kick and recovery kick, it can be beaten by both wake up kicks, and it also whiffs against staying grounded, side rolling and front rolling. And worst of all, if they stand up, they can float you. So really, this needs to be used with some caution. An alternative though is forward roll into 3. On block this is -12, but on hit it's at least +4, and from there I'd go straight into throws. Again, giant swing is the best option, but because you recover crouching, the other throws are a bit different. For a 2 break you have to go for headbutts, and for a 1+2 break you have AK driver. Now I've already done a video covering that throw in more detail, so if you want to see it, there's a card in the corner and a link in the description. To stop people ducking here, the safe option is while standing 4, but for more reward you can do while standing 1. In the open this gives you a launch, but at the wall you get a high wall splat, and that means you can do more damage. Now I already covered this in another video, so if you haven't seen it yet, do check it out. There's a card in the corner and a link in the description. The downside of while standing 1 though is that it's -10 on block and it's also interruptible. But if someone starts doing that, then you can do while standing 2. Now this is also -10 on block, but on counter hit you get a stun, and from there you can do a blue spark dark upper. Sadly with this option, just like 1+2, you still have some weaknesses. You still whiff against front roll and you'll be beaten out by wake up kicks. You'll also be beaten out by spring kick. But on the bright side, if they stand and try to interrupt you, you won't be floated so easily. The other bonus is that the kick will track them if they try to sidestep, and if they side roll, recovery kick or stay grounded, they still get hit. So in some ways, this is actually better than the 1+2 option. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, then give me a thumbs up. If you think I've missed something out or got something wrong, then say so in the comments. There's more Armor King videos coming, so keep your eyes peeled for that, and I'll see you guys in the future.